here.
Look at those giraffes.
You know, giraffes can see 360 degrees around. They have clear sight.
Meet the team here, Val. Have you met Neil before, or Joan, or have you this?
Val and I have
in a past life.
Val and you have spoken?
Yes. We had a very good conversation. We connected.
And my friend Victor, also from New York, and Sarian, and we're all here welcoming you to Portal to Ascension.
So Alan, your book is on the screen. I love your book.
Thank you. It's just it's advertising there. Oh, you got it. Anyway, it's okay.
So, are you going to introduce her, Alan? Do you want me to read part of her bio?
You could. I can. Yeah, you read her bio, and I'll give like a little personal introduction. But Neil, you have anything to say since it's your platform for Val? Since you're
I'm just excited because you know, I've been on the in the back, just watching the whole production of the Kundalini conference come to fruition and putting it together. So I've definitely been corresponding with Joan about Val, and Alan's told me a lot. So I'm just really excited to have you on this platform and to share all the amazingness. You know, Alan and I were traveling together in New Mexico for the last week and a half, and he told me a lot about you and the history and how long he's known you. So I'm just excited that we get an opportunity to share your wisdom with the Portal community.
The big part is to see that awakening, but I'll let Joan, do the formal introductions, or maybe Victor.
Right.
I love his voice. Yes.
Just so happy from the Giraffe Kingdom to bring on our Kundalini expert. And so Valeria is an avid explorer of the world and an artiste of multiple mediums. She's a descendant of the royal Italian family, the Medicis, a first-generation Italian. She was born in Brooklyn, so that's amazing. We have several Brooklynites, and I'm a Queensite right here. By the age of 21, Val worked as an information architect and model actress for many kinds of companies. She has collaborated with a multitude of brands ranging from high-line fashion companies, well-known charities, and wellness and holistic brands as well, to name a few. And she starred in a docu-soap on TLC called Bama Belles. So you have definitely been featured. You've come a long way. And she had a moment, this is really post-awakening, Val had a moment of multi-dimensional experiences growing up with ETs, a sense of energy and higher awareness. Val had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening that I think was experienced by Alan, and AKA the Holy Spirit running through her in 2010. So we're going to hear about that. And Val has also been experiencing her work evolving into higher levels of consciousness, working with divine, multi-dimensional beings. So she has also experienced the sacred tremor of the heart, spontaneous experiences, and she's been integrating the Divine Mother. She's doing private and group sessions. She's leading workshops in Tokyo for top spiritual company. She's led many group sessions in Sedona, New York City, and now here on Portal to Ascension. So welcome, Val.
I just want to say a few words, but because I want you to speak, Val, because I want to. But I was going to save some of this for this Kundalini, but Val came into the session I was hosting with this guy, Abdy, as a sort of regular person. She left as a being of divine awakening, and it was beautiful to see it. So thank you for being here. I don't know what you're going to talk about today, but please, it's all yours.
Alan, first of all, Alan is a very important part of my life, part of my awakening life. He's always been there in these very important moments. And one of the most important was my Kundalini awakening. But for some reason, he's always been there, and he's very like cracking open, consciousness for me moments. And he's obviously, a soulmate of sorts in this lifetime and in many other lifetimes as well. Galactic brother.
Thank you.
Yes. But I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you so much, Portal of Ascension, everyone that's involved. Thank you, Alan, for inviting me. I'm always honored. It's always an honor to be with like-minded people, as well as like frequency vibration. I'm the Kundalini Awakening has opened me up to vibration, not just a healing process, but it's been a journey of sorts into not just this lifetime, but other lifetimes as well. And also fast forward lifetimes, and then dealing with all kinds of levels of dimensional realities as well. So it's not just about this lifetime as an awakening. It's awakening to so much that is multidimensional, but it's difficult it's not a tangible thing. It's always something so etheric, and the ego, of course, it checks in and tries to kind of make everything tangible and make it so make it like yours. But I know that whatever is happening to me is happening to the soul that needed the Kundalini awakening to express and share this energy with others. Because after that experience, I was able to activate people and awaken people, and deal with different levels of consciousness and understanding. So I know that I wasn't just here to be healed. I was here to assist somehow humanity and the earth. So I'm grateful, and I'm here to always serve. And that's my role.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the process? I mean, we want to save some of this for the Kundalini panel, but
I know.
Talk a little bit about who you were before and where your work as a kind of service for the higher spirit is now.
Yes. So who I was as a child, I was always connected somehow, but didn't really know how to express it. I always felt odd, like the black sheep, very sensitive to energies, but still didn't understand it. Very empathic, and always weird. I was always weird. In school, I never felt like I fit in. I always used to look at the stars in the sky and used to say that was home. Didn't understand why I would say that, but lived a very normal life. Grew up in a Christian Catholic household. It was a first generation of immigrants. I didn't really have I wasn't very popular. I was just trying to fit, just kind of like move under the shadows of people, kind of very shy person. And I think that's also very common with people that awaken. I had a very difficult time how can I say this? Dealing with like matters of love, with like romance. Again, I never felt like a real soul connection. So I wanted that so much, but it was difficult to find because it was the people that I was with weren't meeting me there. So I always felt like not in the right place, not with the right group of people, but I loved everyone and I always wanted to help everyone. I even started a company. By the time I was 28, I started a company. It was called Val Secrets, and it was where I would tell secrets of like how to make recipes or beauty secrets or dating secrets, and it was kind of like that kind of range. And I wanted to help people by giving charity work to all different kinds of charity, mostly children, because to me, children need us the most. And yeah, I was I was sensitive, and I had experiences with extraterrestrials when I was a child. I could maybe 2 or 3 times, but I never made such a big deal out of it because I thought it was normal. I was like, okay, yeah, so what? I saw a UFO, or yeah, I felt energy in the room, and that's a long story in itself. But and I've had experiences with divine beings coming into my bedroom and having like physically being there. And after the Kundalini awakening, everything kind of connected back. It was like all connect the dots kind of thing, because I felt so strange being in the world. And then it all made sense to me because I wasn't of the world. We all have a soul, and we all have a history of our souls. And my soul's history it was always meant to have a Kundalini awakening. I always had a Kundalini awakening, and this lifetime I had a Kundalini awakening when I was 30. And I think in my experience as being 30, I felt like I was already too old because I think in my past lives I was much younger. But in this lifetime, for me, drinking a cocktail was enlightenment. Now I don't drink at all, and it's really changed who I am. I try to live a pure life, and I don't drink alcohol. I became vegan after my Kundalini, but now I'm starting to eat some sort of meats again. But it's a constant change. You're constantly morphing. You have to change to the vibration of your environment. If I'm in a very high vibrational place, I really don't even need to eat. I go breatharian. So, but when I'm in a more dense area, then you acclimate to, well, at least I do. I acclimate to the density of the vibration of which I'm in. So I don't limit myself, and I don't make it dogmatic, because then I'm going backwards. That's what that's where I came from. I want to be fluid, in which my vibration and my auric field will tell me what's right for me in that space, in that time.
Right. Is there a connection between Kundalini and ET? Some people make it because there's an opening. What is that connection for you think?
Absolutely. I believe that Kundalini awakening is a gift from the galactics, of which was brought down. Some people call it the fire of the Holy Spirit. They call it the serpent energy. They call it many different things. But Kundalini is, it's an opening of our energy body, or the chakras, but it's the energy body. And when you're having the Kundalini, your siddhis, or your gifts, they open, and everybody has gifts. It's just some people, they put their gifts to the side, or they get scared. They don't want to open those gifts. But I believe that galactic, and this is a galactic energy, which not one necessary being brought it down, but it's connected to a Christ consciousness, of which to me means a pure consciousness, a clear consciousness that is here and now, and will help heal the planet. And I believe more and more people will have Kundalini awakening.
Yeah, it's something in the energy field of the planet, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, it is.
I have a
Neil,
question.
Joan,
Yeah,
questions.
You know, when I first started, like 2008, I was doing like oneness blessing, Diksha, and there's a lot of Kundalini yoga people in there. And I was hearing all these stories. And then some people were like, oh, Kundalini. Some people have spontaneous Kundalini activations. And there was a whole train of thought on it being dangerous by some people, saying that having that Kundalini. Can you speak on that a bit? What do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I don't think it's dangerous if it happens spontaneously. But I do think it's when you're forcing the Kundalini to rise, it's not dangerous, but it can have its side effects. So when the energy comes up through the spine, sometimes this energy can leak out of the spine. So this is why people do Kundalini yoga, because you're opening up the airway or the narrow tunnel of which the energy rises up through the spine. And there's different kinds of Kundalini awakenings. There's a Kundalini rising, which is it comes up like to certain chakras, and then there's also the Kundalini awakening, which is the full Kundalini awakening. There's also one that comes from the crown chakra down, and that sometimes that's through diksha or some with energy exchange from a guru, and sometimes the energy comes from the feet up. And to me, that's the best way to have the Kundalini awakening, because what's happening, the energy is when it starts from the feet, it actually heals. When it starts from the crown, you're pushing the energy down. So there's a lot of, then when that happens, there's a lot of pain bodies that come up a lot in the physical body. I know a lot of people that had diksha done, and they have physical ailments that come up. Now, again, it's not dangerous. It's more.
Are you ready for it or not?
It's harsher. It's not as soft as it coming up. And when you have Kundalini that comes up through the feet, it's a warmth because it's healing. I always say warm energy is healing. Cold energy is activation. And so what happens is the warmth comes up first, and then the activation comes. And so it's a process.
I think, Neil, like also some people complain about it because it hits blocks. If you are blocked in a certain area, or there's abuse or sexual abuse, because it hits the sexual center first as it comes up the spine, it can be very disruptive for people, because Joan would know as a chiropractor, people function in certain patterns of movement and energy, and then this changes that, and that's the hard time people have because it changes their patterns, right, Joan? Wait, unmute yourself. We don't want to miss anything.
You're right. I saw someone having a Kundalini experience once, and it was kind of scary to me to watch, because this kind of quiet person suddenly became explosive, expansive, and almost really out of their body with that energy. It was kind of surprising. But yes, as a chiropractor, we want to expand the spine breathes and opens up. So through yoga and through expansion, that'll happen to all those centers. So it could be a very gentle experience, and I can imagine it can also be hard.
Well, when I saw Val have that, it's like, it was an incredible thing to witness, because I saw that transformation right there. I mean, she was bouncing off the floor, but
I was going to ask you, how did you know? Like, what was she doing? Was there?
Well, it's because I've seen it a lot. I've had my own experiences. A sort of wave that comes through the body, right? Right, Val? Do you want to talk about?
Yes. The energy, they say it's like the serpent energy. So it actually moves your body like the serpent. If you're especially Shakti energy, like the women, usually they're connected to that Shakti, that Shekinah energy, and so it allows for the woman to become this Shakti, to become like this slithering snake. So it happens to me often. Just talking about it, I can feel my Kundalini kind of come up right now. It's amazing. It has its own mindset, if you will. Of course, it's not separate from me, but it's it's nothing that I can control it now, but there are times that sometimes the energy is so strong, I cannot control it. And, Alan's witnessed this many times. I can simply watch a film of the ISIS being in the ISIS temple, just a film, and I can experience a Kundalini experience.
Right. I was showing Val the film of Gail Mack in the Temple of Isis being transformed into Isis, and she just went through one of these.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, yeah. As I'm looking at you, I could see you as a reincarnation of Isis, and I can imagine what that, like your expression in that.
Well, Mary Magdalene too. You want to talk about the Magdalene connection?
Yeah. So that Isis, Magdalene, still that lineage I'm very connected to that lineage, and Mary Magdalene for me. I almost feel like I am her, or I am Isis, and I've had experiences with these beings. Separate, but then of course it always comes back. But I'm you or she. I am you. I am that I am, and it's the oneness of which we can become that being. But I have a very strong connection to these beings. And Mary Magdalene, of course, today's Catholic Easter, so family comes from that lineage, and today is Mary Magdalene is of which she finds Jesus. At the tomb, and she finds his resurrected body, and she's a priestess being of which she made the religion of Christianity, but she also brought down a higher awareness of it. She was the only one that could understand a being like Yeshua, who could speak of things in a very metaphorical way, and yet she understood him, because it wasn't about the words that he was saying, it's the energy. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening now with a lot of these beings, the gurus or teachers, spiritual teachers. Says it's not so much as what they say, it's the vibration of the words. And I think that sound, so I'm going on a tangent here, but the sound vibration is the first wave of awakening for humanity. It's going to be through music and words. So what we're doing here in Portal Ascension, it's a lot of talk, but what we're bringing as high vibrational beings, we're bringing energy to our words. It doesn't really matter what we're saying so much. It's really the vibration of us, of our presence and our truth. And truth is also high vibrational gift that is coming forward right now. I call it the truth era. Everything that's coming out into the open, that's also bringing tons of awakening to the planet right now as we speak.
Hey, since it's Easter, I'm thinking, Mary Magdalene, do you think there was some kind of tantric sexual connection between Jesus and Mary Magdalene that resurrected or activated the ascension process that we see? Yeah,
I believe so. Yes, absolutely. They also had something called sacred union, which is called Heros. It's a higher dimensional marriage, but it brings down this very tantric energy, and it's not the tantra that's here and now, that's kind of morphed into what it is now. It's more on the physical realm, but this tantric energy is on the higher realms, and it's almost like just being present in each other's presence. You can shift through these higher dimensional consciousness levels of reality, and you just kind of floating through those realities, which is absolutely, for me, it's stunning. And I've experienced only to a certain degree because of what it is, but Hieros Gamos, I feel like a lot of people will experience this as well.
The divine marriage, Hieros Gamos.
Yes, because right now we're experiencing these almost like fake marriages, because it's about other things. It's not a soul connection. So, but what we experience, I think a lot of people now are going to experience this soul marriage, and it's a deeper commitment, because it's not, you don't have to commit. It's not from the mind, a commitment of the mind. It's a commitment of the soul. It's already there. You've already committed. It already happened, before you were born. You were born into that commitment.
Right. Yeah, Joan, unmute because.
Born into the soul family, which is what you said when you hopped onto Portal to Ascension. You said it felt like we were a soul family in your memory of this. Do you think that some of, your ancestry, you come from a very renowned, lineage, an ancient lineage. Do you think that contributed to some of your connection or your advanced?
Yes.
Can you go into that a little more?
I mention it. Yeah, I don't mention it because of the wealth or anything like this. I mention it because the Medicis, they were ones that found the tablets, that were based. I'm sorry.
The emerald tablets, you mean?
The emerald tablets, yes. And they, Cosimo was the first one to create the family in its establishment. He found them, and he told his sons to read them because there's ancient secrets in this. And when they read them, they actually activated channels. They opened up different channel systems, of which they connected to Yeshua and they connected to Mary Magdalene and many other beings. But they were Christian because they lived in Italy, in Florence, and they connected to those beings. And then they actually had the truth about Mary Magdalene. And what happened was, they decided as a family that they would sponsor artists to portray the truth through the artwork. So the first piece of work that they've done was with Michelangelo. He's a sculptor, and he created the statue of Mary Magdalene. That was the first piece of work that they patronized, and that's because they knew the truth about Mary Magdalene. She was a divine being. She was a divine feminine, and she was the one that was partnered with Yeshua, and they had children. They knew all the story, but they also had problems with the Vatican, and they tried to kill them many times, and they actually succeeded. They killed Cosimo, and they killed many of the family until they made some sort of contract where they say, you know what, okay, we'll stop, with all this. We'll stop trying to, give out the truth. But you have to make one of our family members a pope. And that's how it ended. So the Renaissance was started by them. They sponsored Leonardo da Vinci. They sponsored Galileo Galilei. They sponsored all these major roles. Botticelli, who created the Venus, right? The Venus. And these are all awakening artworks, which talk to us about the higher realms and the divine feminine. Venus is divine feminine. So,
No, it changed art. It brought in individuality. It created the Renaissance throughout Europe, an activation of new art forms and the focus on the individual. The Renaissance, we're a product of that Italian Renaissance. Everyone here is doing creative art in that way because it happened there because of the Medici. So yes,
right. They call them the fathers of the Renaissance age.
Yes.
So this is why I mentioned them. Not, it's about, I can sense the connection in me, and how, they're my ancestors, and they want me to continue on, bringing out the truth. It all comes back to the truth.
I can feel that. That's why I asked you the question. I could feel that they're with you, that you were born specifically for these times to bring this new information in now. And it's beyond the Kundalini Awakening. I think a lot of the Magdalene energy, the sacred union, and Definitely, Val. And I like the way you call it, Val, secrets. So why do you call it secrets, love?
Well, this name actually I was deciding to build this website to help women and children. And, I'm very close to my family, and I sent them an email. My brother, actually, he said, he says, why don't you call it Val Secrets? Like, it just clicked. And I said, perfect, I'm doing it. And
it was before the Kundalini, right? That you had that.
It was before, but it was, there's Dharma. I really believe that that company that I had was my Dharma, because I gave so much in return to people, to women, single mothers, women in general, and of course children. So it was a great experience for me. And then I had the Kundalini Awakening in the midst of this development of my company, and then everything changed. I couldn't sustain that kind of company anymore, because I would have events and it was connected to, we would have alcohol and it wasn't me anymore. I was speaking another language.
Right.
And the people that I was connected to, I wasn't connecting to them anymore.
Yeah. Neil, did you want to say something, Neil?
Yeah, I had when I got initiated as a oneness blesser, like 2008, 2009. Before that, I heard about the Kundalini, and I'd never experienced it, so it was kind of like a myth to me. And people said they had that experience. And then in the initiation process for oneness blessing, we were in 3 circles. It was like the inner circle, middle circle, outer circle. We're all holding hands and we're doing this breath work. And it's the first time I did such intensive breath work, and it was for like 4 hours straight, right? So we're just like doing this hardcore breath work. And then all of a sudden, I felt an electrical current go through all of us. And we all, like, it was like a wave, at a sports game. And the electrical current went through, like, it was definitely some electricity, and it was definitely going through everyone from one person to another. It was tangible, wasn't etheric, wasn't like being made up or anything. And then all of us fell on the ground and started going like this. It was,
wow.
And looking at it in retrospect, I was like, damn, from an outside perspective, it looked like some sort of cult thing, but it was straight up like Kundalini activation. And the whole thing with the oneness blessing Diksha thing is that then the spirit of Sri Bhagwan comes down, and then you have now gone through the Kundalini activation that you need in order to purge certain things within your chakras to be able to be the conduit, to be able to do the blessings. I'm no longer a oneness blesser. I stopped many years ago, but that was kind of my tangible experience of it. And I've kind of just been curious about it ever since. And I did just to add some more to this, I did some research on, the serpent in the Bible, the serpent in ancient history. Because if you look at the Eastern world, you have the dragon, you have the Nagas, you have serpents all over India, and it's definitely connected to the Kundalini. Even in Egypt, one of our speakers showed that light bulb thing that people think is a light bulb has a serpent in there, looks like a Kundalini activation. But then when you get to the Western world, you have slaying the dragon, right? Mm-hmm. You have a whole other component, and that either came from one thing to inhibit enlightenment, right? There's 2 beliefs here, and it could be either to be like they don't want people to be enlightened, or it was this whole fear of the spontaneous activation of Kundalini. So they're like, you got to keep the dragon in check, So it's just interesting how the serpent kind of just is.
And the serpent in the Garden of Eden was, negative. Well, maybe it gave knowledge. The serpent gave knowledge. So
yes,
interesting.
Well, the serpent's also connected to the original being, Lilith. She was first. She was the first woman to be partnered up with Adam, and he said, "No, I don't want her. She's too independent." So God, which is, to me, this story is another story, but this is also Enki and Enlil. The Anunnaki, the ones that were, they were creating man and woman, and they asked the God to create another being, and then they created Eve. Mm-hmm. So this story actually is translated in Hebrew, and I followed this rabbi and he's very interesting how he translates it. It's a direct translation, so I find it so different from the way we know it, as most people do.
But in
Well,
Egypt, the serpent was also healing. The staff of Hermes
Yes.
has the caduceus of serpent. But
Exactly.
what
And it's a symbol in the medical field. We have
Yeah.
that staff going through for healing. But we
That's
also
right.
slay the dragon. We have, in Western world, I think they're afraid of this energy is the truth. Val
Well,
has
represents wisdom.
disappeared. She will be back.
What are you
she's
saying,
gone?
Neil?
Yeah, I was just saying the serpent in a lot of ancient texts, especially the Sumerian text, represents wisdom or advanced sciences. And if you look at the Sumerian scriptures, there's all these references to some sort of quantum physics awareness. Whenever they show a serpent, there's even like a tablet that looks like a human's coming out of a serpent's mouth with a giant at the end of it. And the speculation is that it's the serpent is the wormhole and the human is the hybridization from the Anunnaki.
Right.
So it's like, yeah.
Victor has an answer
Yeah,
here.
Victor.
And the caduceus is DNA. If you look at the caduceus,
Yes.
it's DNA.
Exactly.
Yes.
So Kundalini then is a DNA, an expression of DNA, an expansion. Yesterday we were talking about how we change our DNA, and this is one of the ways is through Kundalini.
That goes super deep because now we're talking about reptilian serpents, DNA wars, and all that stuff.
Oh my God! And okay, I was going to mention that the grandmother of Anu, who was the king of the Anunnaki leader, the grandmother was the dragon. She was the dragon queen.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean that we're all descendant, since they worked with our own genetics, we're all descendant from the great grandmother queen? I think her name was Tiamat. Can't quite remember.
The Dracos have gotten a bad rap because there are some negative Dracos and there are some positive ones.
Exactly.
And we have the reptilian brain there in the lower cerebellum. So we've evolved from that or parallel to that. So
yeah, there's some channelers that say that evolved humans, fifth dimensional humans on other planets, their brain speaks to the spinal column telepathically through frequency, and the reptilian part of the brain is what we need in this 3D in order for our brains to communicate, since we've broken away from that. So as we ascend and evolve, the reptilian part becomes dormant, and then we evolve to completely have a telepathic communication with our chakra system in our brains.
yeah.
So we have a place right here behind your skull. You can put your finger there between the Abdullah, the Abdullah here, and then you can touch the top of your spine, and that place there is that activation point. Chiropractors, advanced ones, have found out that if you work with this, you can then activate, you can bring in angels, you can bring in your guides, you can bring in the Kundalini energies. It's like right here.
Wow. So I just texted Val.